What's up, Silent Flute and Ninth Limbers, anybody that's on the Ninth Limb YouTube channel. This is a video about relaxing your neck. And a lot of people, their heads go forward of their torso, and that's their natural inclination. There's a lot of reasons for that, probably nature and nurture. I myself have chronic tension in the back of the head, which is super interesting because to actually move the head backward in space requires relaxing the muscles at the back of the head. These squeeze and it pushes the head forward. These relax and the head settles back. You don't want to push the head back. What ends up happening is people flex their muscles to pull their head back. It's just different muscles, so they've just tensed even more muscles at the back of their head. But so I have one participant in the group who I'm very familiar with her body, and I know she has a lot of neck pain and some nerve pain that comes out of that. Not always is stretching, certain strengthening probably, but I don't know specifically where the nerve plexus on you is being aggravated. And so what I know is going to be super helpful is to learn how to relax the neck. And so David Garrigues, who I'm here in Kovalam right now studying with, has an interesting set of instructions or commands. And this has to do with imagery in your body. So I'm going to give you just like mild anatomy, beginner anatomy, and really you should do your own research. There are 3 points I want you to become familiar with. One is the tongue / soft palate. Soft palate is the top of the mouth. Way back in there, it's really, you can feel it with your tongue when it's right behind the teeth. It's hard. As you go back far enough, it softens. That's the soft palate. So I want the tongue. So normally, let's say if my face is on this side, the tongue is normally in front. Oh wait, the camera reverses everything. Whichever way. So this is the tongue and this is the soft palate. And facing is this way. So the tongue is normally in front of the soft palate because that's not the natural position. That's just people are talking too much and they have too much tension in their tongue. So you need to relax the center of the tongue so it settles under the soft palate. And this is, you could consider it a horizontal plane. So before I go any further, this is the remedy. This is the remedy for your tense neck. And all of you have tense necks just chronically. And then any of you that are meditating, practicing your pranayama, doing any magical rituals, or doing your yoga, almost every single one of you has a tense neck. This is how to relax it. You've heard me in any of my yoga classes, I'm always like soft tongue, soft tongue. This is a deeper teaching on that. Wherever the tongue is, you want to soften it so it settles underneath the soft palate. So there's a horizontal plane, and imagine a spotlight that's looking down the central axis of your body. Okay, so that's one checkpoint. There are 8 checkpoints, eight checkpoints, but we're only going over 3 today. The second one is your first rib. So the first rib, if you have a little bump on your back, that's kind of where your neck meets your thoracic spine. So the spine is basically 4 segments. There's the sacral spine, which is fused. That's your tailbone up to your hips. So we can disregard sacral spine. Lumbar spine is the lower back below the ribs. Thoracic spine is any of your spine that has ribs attached to it. And then cervical spine is the neck. So right where the neck meets the thoracic spine, there's a bump on most of us. That first bump is your first rib. That's T1, which is the first thoracic vertebra. And what makes it thoracic is a rib is attached to it. So the first rib comes around from there under the clavicle, which is the collarbone, and then attaches to the sternum. So if you feel your collarbone right underneath that and press in, that's your first rib. It gives me a lot of relief when I press on it. There's a lot of muscles here, especially pec minor, that comes down. So it actually, if you can see on the side, my T1 is higher than my first rib. And that's normal. Some people are a little more exacerbated, but everyone, your rib cage is on a slant. So the ribs are not horizontal. The ribs point down, going from back to front. But it's useful still to imagine it a horizontal plane. That's a second checkpoint of your spotlight. So you have the spotlight of the center of your tongue. It aligns and relaxes underneath the soft palate. That spotlight looks directly down onto the spotlight of the first rib. So if you study my fifth chakra video, which is, it's obscurely named, maybe I should change the name. It has something to do with like, I see purple and blue better with my third eye than I realize. But in that video I explain how the tongue, esoterically the root of the tongue is the heart. Technically the root of the tongue is, what is this, the hypothalamus? No. That's a part of the brain. Kind of the thyroid bone, which is kind of the Adam's apple. That's the root of the tongue. But what you'll experience, so it goes there into the mouth. But if you'll experience, as you soften the tongue back behind the soft palate, a sensation of a relaxation down to your first rib. So we're looking to align those 2 points, which is really, this is the manubrium. So the manubrium is the space between the collarbones, where the sternum, essentially it's a joint. This is where the collarbones meet the sternum. So we want to align the spotlight of the center of the tongue and the soft palate over top of the manubrium. And you can do that using your internal eyes, which is your proprioception, to shine a spotlight down from the center of the tongue, center of the soft palate, onto the spotlight that is the first rib. So now we have 2 horizontal spotlights. Immediately as you practice this, there are other cues. You can start to focus on the earlobes while you do that. So you have 3 points of reference. You're going to start to feel ease there. You need to maintain this visualization while you do any seated practice. It's a bit difficult to maintain while you do your asana practice, but it can be done. I do it. But definitely when you're doing pranayama or meditation, maintain this visualization. I said 3 spotlights. That I'll go ahead and give you the third one, anatomy. Wait, I think I went through the effort. Well, this isn't a great picture. You're not, so what's highlighted there is the tongue. It relaxes back. Let me see if I can do it. So it will relax back under the soft palate, and then the first rib there is now highlighted. So we want the tongue to relax over top of the first rib. Notice how the first rib slants down. Okay. And the third spotlight that would be really useful for you to relax your neck is actually going to be the thallus, or talus if you don't pronounce the H, which is your ankle bone. So this is really good for grounding. I don't feel like going through the anatomy of it, and it's an app called Human that's really useful. So you can you can delete like all the muscles and bones and tissues and focus in on what you want to look at. The thallus is basically your ankle bone, and a lot of people, if you have a collapsed foot arch, the top surface of it, you could consider it a horizontal surface, going with the spotlight imagery analogy. When you have a collapsed foot arch, the thallus bone, the surface of it points in towards the middle axis. When you have a really high foot arch, it leans away and points out. And that's going to create all kinds of things in your hips that are undesirable. And what you'll learn as you get deeper and deeper into working with your posture and your posture patterns is that what's happening in the neck and tongue is a reflection of what's happening in the hips. Okay, you got to get that, because as the hips come into an anterior tilt, the neck tends to go into extension. And if the hips go into a posterior tilt, the neck goes into flexion. So they're opposites of each other. As you relax the tongue, that will tend to relax your hips, but you want to keep them aligned. So when your feet are flat, you want to be able to feel that spotlight imagery looking up your shin bone. So if the ankle bone was looking straight up, well, if it had a horizontal surface and you were able to look up, it would go straight up your shin bone. Your proprioception should look straight up. If you were standing, you should be able to align internally your soft palate directly over your talus bone. Meanwhile, maintain that spotlight image of the first rib. So you're aligning the spotlights. And there are 5 more, but let me know if you get this, and then I'll teach you the other 5. But especially if the talus bone wasn't explained well enough, or you're not getting that, focus for now on relaxing the tongue so it settles back underneath the soft palate, and then that spotlight of the soft palate tongue, align that over your manubrium. Or you could, sometimes I'll do it over my T1. But basically that whole slice, that circular slice of the first rib, align that underneath. Whew, it feels good. I'm doing it right now. It brings your breath up into your upper chest and you stop collapsing, you align it. Man, it's super powerful. I hope you guys are getting this information, because that's not available anywhere. You got to understand what I just explained. If you can get it, it's so powerful, and it is not available anywhere unless you come and trade with David Garrigues or me, because no one else here is teaching the stuff that I'm learning. They're all here to practice. I'm here to practice, but daily I'm communicating it to you so that someone else can take advantage. I don't want to be selfish and just like be a harbinger of advanced yoga knowledge. Okay, so that's it for today. Definitely like this video, share it, and subscribe to my channel. All right, peace, namaste. Ninth one. Silent. It's not silent when I call it silent. It's like, what's the sound of one hand clapping? Well, hey, I'm clapping with one hand. That's the first time I've been able to do. Wow, you all just saw. Okay, this video is getting too long. That's enough for now.